Hello friends, welcome to Ghante Coding Studio. In today's session, we are going to learn the Python programming on text basis. Already in the last session, we have discussed the Python programming for the beginner where you learn the coding through block basis and text editor. In this today's session, you are purely going to learn the Python on text editor platform. That means where you will be typing your own coding in the text editor platform. So on the intermediate level, we plan to discuss the data type. Under the data type, we are going to learn the clear picture for tuple, set, dictionary. Also, we are going to cover the main concept of object-oriented programming, where I will be clearly explain the class, polymorphism, encapsulation method. As we already discussed about the data type in Python beginning, in today's session we are just going to discuss among the one of the data type is tuple, which is nothing but stores a multiple item in a single variable. Of course, it is a collection of item which is in the form of order and unchangeable. Order means nothing but where we cannot unchange and it does not allow the duplicate values. And even unchangeable mean we cannot change, add or remove once our tuple has been created. We may consider the simple example, the month. So the month of beginning here is January, and the second month could be February, and third month could be March. So it goes on like this. So the end of the month could be December, which is falls under 12th month. So what I'm trying to conclude in this sense, the month we cannot change. So if the value is fixed or if the tuple is created in this sense, we cannot change or add or remove the item in the tuple. So it is similar to the month of the year. So I'm going to teach the text editor platform of tuple with a simple example. So the basic syntax for the tuple is we need to start with the open braces and end with the closing braces, and it should be separated by the comma. So I can create the tuple of open bracket, the item 1, and it is separated by comma, item 2 and separated by item 3 and should be enclosed with a bracket. My simple example is now I am going to create an empty string. So tuple equal to open brace and close brace. And my second example is where I can create under the tuple of with a different data type. One could be the integer. So I'm just adding 2, 4, 5.6, which is nothing but float. And on the third example, I can create tuple open bracket where I'm adding the float as well as with the string basis. Whereas in the case of on my fourth example where I'm creating the string which should be enclosed with double quote. So I'm just trying with the text editor platform how it works. So I'm going to create the empty one. So for this I'm created as tuple equivalent to open bracket and closed bracket. Now I'm trying to click the run button. Since it doesn't have any value, the output doesn't show. So my next could be tuple where I'm going to add integer 2, 4, 6. Yes. So now I'm trying to print the value. So for this I'm going to use print tuple and I'm giving the run option. Now the output is displayed. Similarly, I'm trying to print this one, this empty tuple, and I'm clicking run option. Yes. So my next example could be I'm just going to add the integer with float. Tuple equal to 2, 4, 5.6. So now I'm going to print this tuple. Again, my next example could be I'm going to add integer with a float as well as with the string. For string, I should be enclosed with double quote. Now I am going to add this, going to print this tuple. For this again I'm going to use print tuple. Again I'm going to try with all my items should be in string. So tuple hi, and it should be separated by comma. Yes. Hello. Print tuple. So I have created the empty string, I have created the integer, I have created the integer with float, and created with the integer with the float with the string, and on the last tuple I have created everything with the string. So now I am going to click the run button and going to check the output. Yes, everything is executed. So keep in mind, under the tuple we have created the different data type as integer, float, as well as on the string basis. All it will be supported in your tuple. In tuple we can also created the nested tuple. So nested tuple, it is nothing but where we can create list or a tuple in a nested tuple. So nested tuple, it is nothing but can create list or tuple in a tuple. So I'm just taking an example. See, let me explain this example and we can try on the text editor. So I have declared a variable of a tuple where it is data type as a tuple. So under this I have created the string as Python, which under this I have declared a list of a integer 2, 4, 6, and I have created one more tuple 4, 5, 4, 5.6, with the string. So I'm going to print this tuple. Let me see how it works on the text editor. I'm just resetting this platform, and yes, I have copied the content on my notepad and I have pasted over here. I have already explained what it means. So let me check the output. Yes, I have changed the content on my syntax. So I have declared the string hi, and again I have created the list, and after that I have separated by the comma and created one more tuple, and I need to print this output. For this I'm using the statement as print the content of the tuple is, and I have declared the data type. So now I have clicked the run button. The output is shown here. So you may notice in this example we have created the string, we have created the list, and under the list we are also created one more tuple. This is an example of a nested tuple. So we can also create a single tuple, but it should be separated by the comma. So unless if it doesn't put any comma in the sense, it will not consider as a tuple. Let me see an example. See, I'm just going to create a tuple with only one item as apple. When I'm running this particular statement in text editor, in the sense it won't work. So print tuple. So I'm just going to copy this one and trying to work on the text editor. Let's see. So if a tuple contains only one element, then it is not considered as a tuple. So it should be trailered by the comma to specify the interpreter that it is a tuple. That is, we can consider the example. See, where this tuple is separated by the comma. So if it doesn't put the tuple, if you didn't put the comma in the sense, then it will not consider as a data type under the tuple. So keep in mind we should separate the data type. We should separate the tuple with the comma basis. So then the interpreter will not understand this tuple is a data type or not. So we may get error. So you can notice here it have an output error. No, this is because of the error in the tuple. Error in the statement. One more interesting fact of tuple is we can also find the type. That is, either we can find whether it is a string, integer, or float, or complex but in the tuple itself. So we may consider some example like, so I have created the tuple. Under this I have created the string. So when I'm going to print the type, for this I need to use a type. So type, it is nothing but where it finds what type of tuple it is, whether it is a string or integer or a float. So let me try on the text editor platform. So I'm just going to create a tuple. Under this I'm creating a string. So I need to print the output. Though it is a string, I have to enclose with double quote. So I need to find out for this tuple. So I'm just typing as type and the tuple. Okay, so let me check the output. Yes, the output is nothing but it is a string. Similarly, I'm going to create one more tuple where I'm going to create with a value of 10. So I'm going to print this. I'm just copying this line and yes. And again I'm going to create tuple where I'm going to create with this one. So let me check the output for all this. So the first type is string, and the second type is integer, and third type is float. So we have discussed, we can also find out under the tuple what type it could be. So this is a simple example. If it doesn't know what type it in the sense, you can use the option as type. So in tuple, we can also access the element of the item. We may consider the example of this one, tuple open bracket 2, 4, 5.6. Normally the item are represented by the index. From the right to left, it starts from the 0, whereas this 2 value, it will be stored in the index of 0, and this 4 value, it will be stored in the index value of 1, and this 5.6 could be stored in the value of 2. So keep in mind, from right to left, the index values are stored from 0 to 0, 1, and so on. So when it comes on the left to right side, that is on the left to right, it starts from the negative value, where -1, it starts from -1. So from left to right, it starts from -1. From right to left, it starts from 0 to 1, and so on. So let's see the example to access the tuple items. So I have created the tuple where with the items of integer, with the float, and with the string. So I need to find the element for the item of maybe the tuple of 2. So I have created the print statement. Under this, I'm just making the index to be 2. For the index, I should be enclosed with a square bracket. I'm just closing the bracket and trying for the output. So I have taken the tuple for the first index, where it have fetched the detail of from the left to right, which is nothing but this is 0 and the 1. So it have given the output as 4. Similarly, I am trying for the negative axis of tuple item. I need to find out from right to left. So for this, I'm just using the minus over here, and I'm clicking the run button. So now the input over it start from the right to left, where hello it is stored in the index of -1, and -2 it's stored in the value of 4, and -3 where it stored the value of 2. So I'm just trying for the -3. Let's see the what output is. Yes. So I hope you have understood how to access the tuple item from left to right and right to left. In the same example, I can try for the nested tuple. So under this, I have created the list and one more tuple, and I'm going to fetch the detail of 2 index, that is, let it be 1 and let it be 2, and I'm enclosing with a bracket. Yes. Now I'm trying for the output. So I have mentioned as that index has 2, so it has been fetched the detail of 21, 23, where this position has been stored in the 0. This could be 1 and this could be stored in the 2. So next I'm going to mix with one more thing, which is 4. Let's see. Yes, the output is executed. So we have learned how to access the data item in nested nested list also, and nested tuple also. So in tuple, we can also use a slicer data. That means we can cut the data, or we can cut the range by using the operators. Like we can use the operator as the double quote. To slice the range or index, we have to use the option of this one. So let me see how it works on the text editor platform. So I have created the tuple where with the values of 1, 2.5, that is integer, float, and with a string. So my first print statement could be like I need the position from 2nd to 5th. For this, I'm using the tuple of 1:5, and it is enclosed with a square bracket. So, and my second statement is where it required from the negative slice. For this, I'm using the :-3. So -3 in the sense -1 where it stores an item of Python, -2 could be 6, and -3 it will display the output of 5. So when it start from next, the element from the 4th to end is tuple 3:. 3:, in the sense from left to right 0, 1, 2, 3, that is 4.9. This, let's see the output. So from 2nd to 5th position, it displayed the items of 2.5, 3, 4.9. From -3, so -3 in the sense it start from the values of 1, 2.5, 3, 4.9, and 4th to end is, that is 0, 1, 2, 3. That is starting from 4.9, 5, 6 Python. Rest of the things are displayed in your output. This is nothing but it will listed all the items which are created in the tuple. So to slice the range or index, we are using the operator of double colon. As we already know, tuples are immutable in Python. Hence, the data cannot be changed. But lists are mutable. So now I'm going to create a tuple where I'm going to add a value in the tuple. It means that in tuple, we cannot use a method of extend or appendant. Already we have discussed these two things in the list. So we are going to create a tuple, that is, we are going to change the tuple by using the list. Let's see how it works on the text editor platform. So I have created a tuple with a list where my tuple is first with 3, 4.5, and I have created the list of 4, 5.6. So I need the output for this tuple. For this I created the statement as print the original tuple list, and now I'm going to add the tuple of 2, that is the index of 2 and the index of 0, where it changed the values of 2. So my updated tuple is I need the printout. So let me check the output. See, you may notice my original tuple is 3, 4.5. Under the position of 0 to 2 index, it has been changed the value 4 as 2. So we have created the list in the tuple, and in the list we have updated the value in the nested tuple. So this will not work in the tuple by using the option of an appendant or extend, but this is possible by using the nested tuple with the listed one. Similarly, we can also create the list into a tuple. For this, I'm just making my list. Hope you know the list should be enclosed with a square bracket. So I'm making 2, 4, hello. And now I need this output. So I'm typing as the output is list. Yes. Next I'm making the tuple. Tuple should be enclosed with square bracket. I'm sorry, open bracket and close bracket. Now I'm making this output. So the list output as tuple. Let's see the output. See, in the first statement, the output is executed in the format of a list, and I have changed the list into the tuple by using the simple syntax. We can also create the tuple into a string. So for this, I need to use a function of a join where it has been inbuilt method from the string. We can convert tuple into a string. So initially I have to declare the function, and I will be using the function of a join, and I will be creating the tuple. Under the tuple I will be creating a separate letter, and I am going to make the letter to be the join. So I have created the function where I need to call defined convert tuple to string. So I have enclosed with the double colon, and next I have declared a variable where I need to join my tuple, and it should be return the statement. For this I am using the return yes, which we already discussed in the beginning, that is Python beginning concepts. So next I am created the tuple of with a single letters and enclosed with a quote, and I need to print this output. For this I am using the print, and next I am going to declare a function of data type as str, which is nothing but string, where it need to convert my tuple to string. So after this I need the output. So I'm executing the run option. The output is executed over here. So before converting to the string, it will be printed as my tuple, and after converting it will be printed as Python. So for this we have used the function as join, or we used the method as join. We may have a question whether the join it is possible on the string basis. Let me check. I'm just declaring the value over on my tuple. So now I'm trying to click the run button. It shows an error. So keep in mind, so this join it is specially designed for the string. We can combine the characters by using the string basis, but it is not possible on the integer or float basis. Next I'm going to do the sorting the tuple. So to sort I have to use a statement, or I have to use a function of sort, S-O-R-T. Okay. So again, I'm just need a function of define where I'm going to change all this syntax. See, I have declared the function of sort tuple and my tuple, and I used for sorting the function as sorted. So under the tuple, I have created the numbers as 2, 4, so I need the printout for, the output for this particular tuple. So next I'm going to sort this tuple. I have used the statement as sorted tuple equal to sort tuple, and this tuple need to be sorted. So again I printed the output statement over here. Now I'm just clicking the run button. The output is shown on this side. So my first output of this tuple is 2, 4, 6, 1, 4. And after sorting, the tuple has been arranged on the ascending basis where it starts from the smallest to largest. That is 1, 2, 2.74, 4.6 to 7.8. Next in the tuple, we can pack and unpacking. So Python, it provides a special features of packing and unpacking, which is nothing but where we can put the value in the tuple. Whereas in the case of unpacking, we can extract all those values stored in the tuple into the variable. Let me see the example. So I'm just created the tuple over here where I have created the tuple with a string that is a employee name and their employee ID and their designations. So I have created the first statement in the tuple. Next I created this particular tuple into a variable where with a employee name, employee ID and employee title. Next I am going to print the output with the packed one. This is an example for the packed one. And these are all the example for unpacking where it fetches the detail from the tuple. I'm just clicking the run button. See, so under the third print, in the print packed tuple, which is an example of packed one, where it fetches all the data in the tuple, and these are all nothing but which unpacks the data from the tuple. Next in the tuple, we can delete it. So as we know that individual elements from the tuples are immutable. So the only way that we can delete the tuple from the element from the tuple is deleting the entire tuple. So for this we are using the inbuilt function in Python is del, that is de. See, I have created the statement of tuple where listed with elements of 2, 4.5 and with a string. So now I am printing the statement. Next I used the syntax of delete tuple where it will delete this particular tuple, and I need the output for this. So in the output screen you may notice before deleting the item it will be listed its value. After using the function of a delete, so it doesn't display the output. Instead of showing the 2, 4.5, it shows their class type. So keep in mind, so though in tuple are immutable, so we are deleting the all elements in the tuple which has been created. In tuple, we can also add the concatenation, and we can also do the repetition as well as with the membership operators. Concatenation, it is nothing but we can add to tuple by using the plus option. And repetition is nothing but when we want to repeat the same values or same element in the tuple, in the sense we can use star. Whereas in the case of membership operator, it is where it works on the kind of Boolean basis, whether the function is true or false. See, I know. So for this we can use an in operator, whether it checks the element is present in the tuple or not, and it gives the values of Boolean basis. If the element is true, in the sense it will be it is in the tuple. If the element is false, that means if it returns a false if the element is not present in the tuple. So I have created the tuple of first tuple as this one, and next I am going to create my second tuple with the values of 2, 4, 6. So this could be the, I'm going to delete this tuple. joining. So to join the two tuple, I have to use plus option. So 1 plus tuple 2. See, after using the statement, I am just clicking the output where it combines the two tuple, my first that is 2 comma 4.5 Python 2 comma 4 comma 6. So the output is displayed like this. So to combine the two tuple, I used the operator as plus 1. Next, I am going to try for repetition. For this, I need only one tuple. I am going to delete this one, and so for the repetition, I have to use star sign, that is asterisk 1. So star into, I am going to multiply for repeat for 3 times. See, the output is where the element has been repeated under 3 times. Next, I am going to check with the membership operator whether I need to find out whether the element is in the tuple or not. For this, I need to use the in operator. So I have created the tuple of 3 comma 2 comma 6, and I need to find out whether the second element is present in the tuple or not. So I have used the print statement. So let me check the output. Yes, this element 2 is presented in the tuple so that it shows a statement as true. In tuple, we also have a other inbuilt function as any, minimum, maximum, length, sorted, and sum. For any, which is nothing but it returns the true value if the element is present in the tuple, and it returns false if the tuple is empty. It is not similar like in operator. It checks whether the element is true or false, whereas in the case of any, it returns true if it is empty, it returns as false. Minimum, it is nothing but it finds the smallest element and it is specifically applicable for the integer. Maximum, it returns the largest element of the tuple. Length, it is nothing but where it finds out the length of the tuple. Sorted, we have already seen where it sorts all the elements in the tuple. Sum, it is nothing but where it adds all the elements of the integer in the tuple. So let me see with an example for each of the function. So I'm just going to find out the any which is nothing but it find out the elements is true. If the element is not, and if it is empty in the sense, it return false. So I'm just created my first tuple as 3 comma 1 comma where I have used the integer. So next I have created the print statement to display the output. So I have been used the function as any tuple. Next, I created one more tuple of which is an empty one. Which is empty, I have created, and I need the output for this. So now I am going to check our result for this particular statement. Yes. So you may notice on the tuple 1 for the output is it is there. So it has been listed as a true. So no, on the second statement, no elements, that is no elements in the tuple. So that is what it has been displayed as a false. Next, I am going to use the minimum function. Whereas in the same statement, I changed the any as a minimum, and in the output screen it has been displayed as a 1, where it shown the minimum value. Next, I am going to try for the maximum basis. For this, I am using the function as max, max, and I am clicking the run button. So it shows the maximum value as 4.5. Next, I am going to use find out the length of the tuple. For this, I am using the syntax as len, and I'm clicking the run button. So I just find out the output where the length of this tuple is 3. Next, I'm going to find out for the sorted. So sorted, it is nothing but where it will be arranged. For this I am using the function as sorted and I am running the button. Now you can see this tuple has been arranged from ascending order. Next I am going to add the sort. I'm going to add this tuple. For this I'm using the function of sum. Yes, it has been added all the elements in the tuple and it has been displayed the value. So I think so far you have understood the tuple, and I just want to conclude the tuple. So we have recollected the topic of where tuple is store the multiple items in the single variable, and tuple is immutable. That is very important. The basic syntax for the tuple is it should be enclosed with a round bracket and should be separated with a comma. So we have discussed with the topic like items, and we have find out the index, and we can find out the length. We can create the tuple with one item, and we have discussed the concatenation, repetition, multiple items. So I may conclude the tuple is similar to the list, but where it have a heterogeneous elements. So since tuple is a immutable, the output it is very access and very highly boostable. So on the next session, I'm just going to explain with the topic of a set. Let me continue. So welcome to Ghante Coding Studio. In today's session, you are going to learn one more interesting topic of under the data type, which I am going to describe about a set. As we already discussed this set in the previous session or in the beginning level, I just want to recollect what it means. So a set it is nothing but unordered collection of an item, where in every element in the set it will not have any duplicate. It means that we cannot change the value. For example, if I am setting the value, if I am declaring the set equivalent to open brace 2, 4, 6, I cannot change the element. Instead of 4, I cannot change the element as with some other element. This is not possible in the set basis. But we may call it as set itself mutable, where we can add or remove the item. So hope you know to add or remove item, we can use a built-in function of appendant, maybe with other built-in function we can use. In set, we can also use a perform mathematical operation like union, intersection, symmetric difference. We may see with an example each by each in the text editor platform. So to create the Python set, where we have to use a curly braces, to separate the element we have to use a comma, and for the built-in function, and we can also use a built-in set functions too. So one more interesting point of set is we can have a number of items. That item can be with a different data type like integer, float, tuple and string. So of course we can conclude that set cannot have immutable elements like list, dictionaries, as it is elements. So some methods or built-in descriptions are add, clear, copy, difference. Where add it is nothing but it adds an element from the set. Clear it is nothing but it removes all the elements from the set. And symmetric difference it is nothing but it returns the symmetric difference of two set of a new set. Apart from this method, we have some other built-in function as all, where it returns the true if all the elements or all the sets are true. Any it is nothing but if any of the set, at least if any of the set is true, in the sense it will be written the true value. One more important concept is enumerate, where it returns an object that contains index and the value for all the items of the set as a pair. And let me see with each one by example in the text editor. So I'm creating my variable as my set, where I'm declaring the value as initially with the number 1, 2, 3. So I'm printing my set. So I'm clicking the run button. Yes, the output is executed. Similarly, I'm trying for one more set where I'm declaring the string now, that is curly brace. I'm using 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma, and I'm making comma, which is, though I'm using the string, I'm using the double quote, and I'm closing the brace. Now I'm printing this my set. Yes, the output is executed where I have used the integer as well as the string. Next I'm going to create one more set where I'm making 1 comma 2 comma 2 comma 3 comma 5 comma 5. I'm going to print this set. I'm checking my output. So you have noticed set doesn't have the elements of duplicate. It removed the duplicates. So next I'm going to create my set, the same thing. Set, I'm going to use a function. Under the set I'm using the list 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4. Now I am going to print this set. Where it makes my list into a set. So if you want to convert an element to be the set, in the sense we can use the list option. We can create the elements in the list that we can convert in the set. Next I am going to create an empty set. For this I am going to find out their type. So which type of class is this? So maybe print type. To find out their type, I'm using the function as type A. And again, I'm creating one more set where I'm using the function and finding their type. So let me check their output. So my first class could be, it is considered as a dictionary, and the second is considered as a set. Yes, of course, this particular statement is, their type is set basis. Next, I'm going to explain with the example of add and update. So add and update. Add, it is nothing but where it adds an element to the set, where update, it is nothing but update the set with the union itself to the other. See, let's see how it works on the text editor. I'm just going to create a set 1 comma 3. I'm printing this output. So we cannot get the index of the element. So it is one more point thing, just keep in mind, under the set we cannot represent the index of the element. So index, it is nothing but it starts from the 0 value. In set it won't work. So I'm just going to add this my set with the value of 2, and I'm printing this my set. Let's see the output. Yes, on my first statement it has been 1 comma 3 has been displayed the output, where I have added the element of 2. It is added in the set. Next I'm going to use my update, my underscore set dot update, where I'm going to add the values of 4 comma 5 comma 6. Let me check the output. Yes, where it updated, where it adds the values of 4 comma 5 comma 6. Now I'm going to make this my set to be updated, where I'm going to add the list as well as with the set. So I'm just going to use my set and dot update with the values of 7, 8, and using the set process also 9, 10, and I'm making the output print my set. Now it adds the values of 7, 8 and 9, 10. For this I have been used the operation of list as well as the set. Next we can see the basic difference and a function of discard and remove. Discard, it is nothing but where it removes an element from the set of its member. So do nothing if the element is not in the set. Okay. Whereas in the remove, it is nothing but it removes an element from the set. If the element is not in the member, rise a key error. So for example, in the remove, if I am using the function of a remove where it is not in the key, where the number is not available in the set in the sense, then it rises a error. See, let me check with the example. So I'm considering the same example where I'm my set. I'm just plan to discard the element of 7 and I'm making the output to be print. Hope you have noticed it removed the element from the set. So the 7th number is removed from the list. Okay. So similarly, I'm going to use my underscore set of dot remove where I'm removing the element of 9 from the set. I'm printing this output. So I'm clicking the run button. So in this example, you have noticed the 9 is removed from the list. Now I'm going to try for the my set. I'm removing the element which is not in the set. I'm using the discard option. Maybe I'm using 7, the same 7, and I'm printing the output. See, you have noticed the same output has been displayed. Okay, let me try for the remove. My set dot my set dot remove of 7 and it should be print the output. So let me check the output. Yes, since the element is not in the list, when I use a remove, it has been showing the error in the syntax. Next we can see then an example for pop and clear. So where pop, it nothing but it removes and return the arbitrary set of element, and if it writes a key error if the set is empty. Clear, it is nothing but where it clears. For example, in a syntax I'm putting in a string, if I'm using the clear in the sense all the string it will be removed from the set. Okay, so let me see with an example. So I'm just resetting and I'm creating the variable as my set equivalent to set. I'm using the function hello world and I'm making this statement to be print my set. Now I'm going to use a pop and a clear where my underscore set dot pop. So I need to print this one. So let me check the output. See, on the first cases, this pop, it is nothing but where it randomly remove the element. If it doesn't specify anything in the sense, randomly it will remove the element. Okay. Next, I'm going to use my underscore set of clear. See, where it shows it clears the element, it clears a string of hello world. That is what it has been showing as an empty basis. Next we can see the union basis, where for this I am going to use the integers a equivalent to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and b equivalent to 2, 4, 6, 8, where I am going to use a method. For this I am using the operator print a slash b. We are using the operator of slash. So this operator is I am using, and I am clicking the run button. So it adds the two sets and the output has been shown here. Similarly, we can use a function also. For this I will be using print a dot union b. Similarly, we can use print b dot union a. So let me check the output. Yes, it combines the a and b value. That is what has been listed in the output screen. Similarly, we can try for the parts like intersection, symmetric difference. So next I am going to explain the intersection part. So maybe we can consider the same set, where for the intersection I will be using the operator as AND operator will be used. So let me check the output. So for the intersection, it is nothing but where it returns a common element of A and B set, where it have the common element of 2 and 4. It is in the set of A, it is also in the set of B. We can also use a function. For this I am going to use the intersection, INTERSECTION. Similarly, I am going to change here. Okay, let me check, find out this answer. See, where it have the common value of 2, 4. Okay, even you can try for the B intersection of A. That is also will return the same value, because 2 and 4 it is common in the both sets. Yes. So far we have discussed the union and intersection. Next we are going to find out for the different basis. Difference, it is nothing but where whatever the element is not in the not represented on the set E, on the first set, remaining will be displayed. For this I am going to use an operator of minus and just going to check. So it will be delete the element on the B set, the respective A set will be represented. Now I am going to try for the similar thing of B minus A, and I am clicking the run button. See, the difference is it remove all the element from the A set that will be represented or that will be printed on the B set. So that is what it has been listed as a 8, 6. So for a difference, we have to use a function as difference. Okay, so now I am going to find out A dot difference of B, which is nothing but 1, 3, 5. Similarly, the same thing, B minus A, I am going to use with the function of B difference of A. Okay, it is due to the spelling mistake. Yes, the output is executed. So next I am going to use a built-in function of symmetric difference, where symmetric difference, it is nothing but returns the difference between the two set as a new set. So symmetric, so it should return the difference. That means it excludes the intersection part. So let me try with an example. I am just considering the same thing. For a symmetric difference, I will be using the operator as this one. Okay, I have to use this operator and I'm going to cross check. So where it removes a common element and it displays. So similarly, I'm trying for B operator A. So of course this is also will display the same. For a function, I have to use A dot symmetric underscore difference. I'm clicking the run button. Yes. So similarly, I'm going to use this same thing for b dot symmetric difference a. So where I have to use underscore. The output is executed. Next, we are going to see one more interesting built-in operator, which is nothing but membership operator, which we already discussed on the tuple. So for membership operator, we have to use a function of in. For this, I'm going to create my set as apple. So I'm going to print this statement. So now I'm going to check whether the A is in the list or not. I mean, A is in the set or not. So normally in it will return the Boolean expression. It gives a result whether it is true or false. So I'm going to print A is in my underscore set. I'm just removing the is, so A in my set or not. It shows an error. What the error? So the error it is nothing but since it's a character, I have to use quote. Yes, it is under in my set. That is what it has been displaying as true. Next, I am going to try the same syntax, that is same statement, where I am going to find out P not in my set. I am asking whether the P is not in my set, but P is in my set. So it will display as false. So in set, we can also iterate the string. For this, I'm using the for, and I have declared the initialization as a letter, and I'm checking it with the condition in set apple, and I'm making it as the letter to be printed. So it has been made as A, that is PELE. So it removes it removes a duplicate and it processes the iteration. Next, we can see some loop sets, loop and items. So we can loop through the set by using the for loop. Already we have seen some example. We can try with one more thing. I'm just going to create this as this set and creating the string. Since it is a string, I have to enclose with quote. And for iteration, I'm using the for x, where I'm going to check with this for x in the set, and I'm going to print this one. Yes, the output is executed as cherry, banana and apple. Next, in the set basis, we can use one more option as intersection update, where this method will keep only the item that are present in the both sets. So I'm just going to consider with an example of x equivalent to apple, comma, cherry, comma, banana. So I'm used one set and going to create one more set, y equivalent to Google, comma, Microsoft, comma, Apple. So yes, I have created the two set. I'm going to use x dot intersection of underscore update of y. So I need to print the value of x. So let me see the output. So it gives the intersection, it gives a item where in x set have a apple, in y set also apple. So that is what in the output has been displayed. Next thing is symmetric difference update. Already we have seen the symmetric difference, where update it is nothing but it will keep only the element that are not present in the both set. So I'm just using the same example where I'm making x dot symmetric underscore difference underscore update of y. Now I am printing this x value. See, it will show rest of the common item it has been displaying. It is displaying as Microsoft and Google. Hope you have understood the lot of concepts in set basis. I just want to recollect of set where it is nothing but set elements are immutable whereas set are mutable. Set data type can be the form of integer, float, tuple or even on the string basis. We have seen some built-in functions of add, clear, discard, intersection, maybe we have seen some pop, symmetric difference update, under union. We have seen lot of things with the operator as well as with the functions too. We have seen some built-in functions of all, any, length, maximum and minimum. We may see some examples relevant with this set too. So I used the built-in function of a len, where len is nothing but it gives a length of the x values. So similarly, I'm going to try for the minimum and maximum. X equal to, I'm going to declare 1, 2, 3, 4 and y value equal to 2, 4, 6, 8. Now I'm going to print So print x dot minimum So now I have used the function of a sort, whereas I have declared the function whereas I have declared the variable and I used the function for sort. So it has been arranged on the basis of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 where in the ascending basis. For the maximum basis, I have used the statement of print maximum of 4, 12, 43, 3, 19 and 100 and it should be end with the empty string has been used. So now I have used the maximum as a function. So it displays the value is 100. So to find out this minimum value, I am using the same statement. Instead of maximum, I need the minimum. So I'm using here, or I'm changing the statement here also. Yes, now I'm clicking the run button. The output is displayed and the minimum value is 4. Similarly, we may have a question, if I'm making under this any string, what could be my output? So it shows an error. So we remember when you're adding an integer, you're also adding the string, it won't get the maximum. So either it should be in the full form of the set should be in the either in the form of an integer or it should be in the form of string basis. If it is in the mixed cases system, it will not work. Maybe I'm considering the same example where hello Hi Python programming. So now I'm clicking the run button. So where it shows the maximum of thing is Python. So maybe I'm just deleting this one. So see. So the maximum value here is Python. Okay, that is what it has been displaying over here. Similarly, I'm trying for the same thing. Where I'm making as this could be the minimum. Let's see. So it shows an output as hello could be the minimum value. That is maximum. It is nothing but where it displays the last of the string. Minimum it is the first of the string. Okay. I hope you have understood the concept of data type in set. We have learned a lot of things on the inbuilt function as well as with other functions too. We can also use other operator like sum, add in the set basis. You may try with some examples, or else we can see on the other levels, maybe on the advanced version I may explain you. So we have one more topic on the data type, which is nothing but dictionary. So still that, just go through with the syllabus and with a lot of example, then only you can able to understand the set concept. On the continuation of a data type, I'm going to explain one more interesting topic of Python is dictionary. So where dictionary, it is nothing but it is an unordered collection of an item. Each item of a dictionary has a key or value pair. So we know that dictionaries are optimized to return the values when the key is known. So we have seen already this example. It is nothing but when you are taking the yellow pages or phone book, if you are searching for some name, for a maybe I'm taking an exam, I'm searching the name of Arjun in the sense, it will retrieve the on the yellow pages with along with the name and number with the address. Similarly, when you are fetching any details on the dictionary by using the function or by using the data type of a dictionary in the sense, it will display the respective key or value pair. Some important things that you have to remember while creating a dictionary is it's a simple placing item. There we can use curly braces or square bracket. So, and it should be separated by the commas. So any item that has a key and respective corresponding value should be expressed as key colon with value. So by the values can be any of data type are repeated, key must be immutable. So immutable in the sense that it is not separated, that either if it is a string or number or tuple in the sense, then the element will not mutable. So in dictionary, I'm going to use the empty string. So I can use an empty string. Next, I'm going to create my integer with keys. For this, I'm going to use my dictionary equivalent to curly brace 1 dot colon of apple. Since it is a string, I'm using the single quote. That is, I'm using the double quote. Sorry. Next is cherry. Print see, the output has been displayed. So now I'm going to use my key with mixed keys. So I'm going to create colon um, John. I'm creating one more thing with list. So I used the string. I'm using the um, list also. Let me check the output. So I hope the output is executed. We have to use a double colon for the key and pairs where we used the mixed keys. Next, I'm going to use a dictionary as a function. For this, I'm just going to copy this one and I'm removing this brace. I'm making it as function and I'm printing this output. So the error is due to I missed the curly braces. So now I'm executing the thing again. Yes, the output is executed. Hope you have understood we have used the dict as a function too. Next in the dictionary, we can also retrieve the element. For this, I'm going to create a variable. I'm going to create in the function base where let it be I'm going to create without function itself. So name, I'm creating as name Jack. Separator should be age should be colon with 26. So now I want to print my underscore dictionary. So let me check the output. So it has been displaying name, Jack, age. For under this, I require the name and age alone. For this, I can use print my underscore dictionary dot get of age. Where we are used the function as a get, it return the value of the respective thing. So it return the value of age. Or else we can use the same statement with a different form. My underscore dictionary, where I can use with the name. Let me check the answer. So we can use either the function of get or we can use under the list basis. So we may have a question, if the element is not presented, if we are trying to find out in distance then what could be the output? For example, I'm trying for my underscore dictionary where I'm searching for address which is not on my dictionary, or else I'm using the statement of print my underscore dictionary where I'm searching using the function as get and mentioning as address. See, the output is it's shown as a syntax error. Since the element is not present in the dictionary, it shows error. So in dictionary, we can also update the value. For example, in the same thing, I just want to change the age of Jack as 27. For this, I can use a simple statement where I will be using as my underscore dictionary as age is equivalent to 27. Now I am printing this value. So I'm checking the output. It shows an error. This is due to, maybe I need to change the bracket. Let me try. Yes, now the output has been changed 26 to 27. So we can update the value. We can also use, we can add the value also. If we want to add the address for this dictionary, we can use the same statement with some changes. So I'm using the same, that is my dictionary, where I need to add address, which is nothing but okay. Now I want to print this statement. Let me check the output. So it has been added with the value of address. So next we are going to discuss some built-in functions. For this I'm going to create a variable where squares has been using. So 2 comma 4 comma 3 comma 3 square is 9 comma 4 square is 16 and 5 square is 25. So now I'm going to print this square. Let me see the first output. As we already know, to remove an element we can use a function of pop. So I'm going to use print square dot pop. So I'm using the index as 4. So now it popped as a 16. The 16 element is removed. Okay. So we have used this pop item where it removes, this pop item removes the specific key and parse. Next I'm going to use a function of a clear. So let's see the output. So since it clears all the element represented in the square, that is what it has been displayed as a none. The output is displayed as a none. Next I am going to use a function as delete squares square. And I am going to print the square. So where it shows error, since it delete all the syntax or all the comments passed in the editor, that is what it has been shown as a syntax error. Next we are going to create a dictionary method where I am using the mark is equivalent to open curly braces with from keys of math, English, science, comma 0. I have passed the value of 0. Now I am going to print this statement. So let's see the output. So where this particular, the math is assigned with a pair of 0, English is assigned with a value of 0, science is assigned with a value of 0. So next I am going to use for condition. I am going to check for item in marks dot items. Items. So I just want to print that item. I want to print that item. So where the output has been displayed as math, English and science. Next I am going to use a function of a print basis where print, I am using the list and it should be sorted where it should sort of my mark with an item. So I'm using a sorted mark with key. Okay. So where it has been sorted with English, math and science, it has been arranged in the order basis. Next we are going to use a Python with a dictionary comprehension where we are using the iterations. For iteration we may use any loop like for, in, range. So I'm going to explain with some few examples. So I'm going to create a variable squares equal to curly brace. I'm going to declare a variable x where x star x is a for x in the range of 6, closing the curly brace, and I'm printing the square. So it has been started from the range of 0 where it squares from 0 into 0, 1 into 1, 2 into 2, 4, 3 is to 9, 4 is to 16, 5 is to 25. Until the range of starting from the 0 to 5, the output has been executed. By using this simple statement, it is almost equivalent to this. We can initially declare the empty dictionary where after this we can use a condition of for x in the range of 6, and I'm going to declare the function as x into x and printing the value. So we can try. So the answer is similar. So this code is equivalent to this. So we can use either this type or we can use this type. I hope this is a very similar cases where we are using in the often cases. So we may conclude under the dictionary comprehension we have used the for statement, and we can also use the if statement. Where in the if statement it filters the new item from the dictionary and it will represent or it will create the new form of a dictionary. So I'm just considering the same example where I'm going to use the condition as if x is equivalent to 1. I'm going to use an operator of x modulo 2, that is after dividing the value, if the remainder is equivalent to 1 in the sense, then it should print the thing as odd square. They are odd one. So I have used the condition of for and if in a single statement. So where it displays the odd numbers of 1, 3, 5. Next we are going to see the membership operator. So where for membership operator we can use the built-in function as in. So keep in mind in function, that is the membership operator, it will check only the key, not the values. So it will check the key, not the values. Let's see some example. So I'm going to create (4, 16, 5, 25, 6, 36, 7, 49. So now I'm going to check print that 1 in x. Yes, 1 it is in the key. So next I'm going to check print two not in x. It is false. 2 it is there in the list. That is what it is representing as false. Now I am going to use the value, that is 9 in X. As I already as I already mentioned, membership operator, it will check only the key, not the values. That is what here it has been referred as false. Since 9, it is placed in the value basis. It is there in the dictionary, but the output is showing us false. It is due to the 9 is placed in the value. In dictionary, we can also use the iteration. For iteration, I will be using the for statement. For this, for I in square of, maybe for I in X. For I in X, it should print the value of I. See, it has been showing the key values has been listed over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Here my print statement as print X of I. Let's see what the output we are executed over here. Yes. Here we have listed as 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, 49. It has given the iteration process too. As we already seen some data type in built-in functions of set, in dictionary we have some inbuilt function. They are nothing but all, any, length, CMP, sorted. All it falls like a boolean basis. It return true when all the keys are presented. If it is empty, or else it shows a dictionary is empty. Any, it is nothing but if any of the key of the dictionary is true, in the sense it will be the output will be true. Otherwise, it return false. Length, it is nothing but where it gives the number of items in the dictionary. Maybe CMP. This particular version is not available on the 3, but it is suitable, or it works in the text editor of ZNYR platform. Sorted, as we know already, it return new sorted list of keys in the dictionary. So let's see within a few example. So I'm going to create a set. Start from 0, 0, 1, 1. Maybe 1, yes, that is right. 2, 4, 3, 9, 4, 16, 5, 25, 6, 36, 7, 49. So now I'm going to use a built-in function of print all X. Let's see what output we are getting. So all, it is nothing but where if all the dictionaries of keys are true in the sense, then it will represent, then the output will be displayed. Else it will it displayed as a false. I'm going to try for print any X. Yes, any of the keys are executed. That is what it has been showing us true. Next, I'm going to try for sorted. Where it arranges the order from 0 to 7 from ascending order. Next, I'm going to find out the length of this X, where it have a length of 8. So we have understood some built-in functions as all, any, sorted, length, and we have seen so many functions in the dictionary basis. In dictionary, we can also have a method of update where it will update the dictionary with the item from the given argument. So the argument must be dictionary or iterable object with a key or a value. So let me consider an example where the year of the car by using the update method. So I'm going to create a dictionary there with the brand and model and year. So I'm using the variable as this dictionary where with my brand is Ford and the year is 1964 and the model that is maybe I'm creating Mustang and closing the brace. Next I'm going to use a built-in function of this dictionary dot update year should be, I'm going to update the year should be in the 2021. Okay, so I need the output for this. Let's see the output. The error is due to the built-in function spelling mistake. Yes, it has been updated over here as 2021. Next, I'm going to add a dictionary items where adding an item to a dictionary is done by using the new index key and assigning the value on it. So maybe this we have seen. I'm just considering the same example where I'm going to add this dictionary color equivalent to red. So now I am going to execute this program. So where it has added the new key and it assigns a new value on it. So next we are going to recollect the loop through dictionary basis. As we already know, like for looping we can use a for method. I'm going to try with the same example, that is this dictionary is equivalent to brand, which is Ford, model and the year is 2021. Okay, so now I am going to use the for x in this dictionary. It need to print the value of x. Yes, it has been listed my keys of brand, model and year. Next I want to print the values of x. So for this I'm using the same thing. Instead of x, I'm going to change here as this dictionary with the list of x. So now I'm going to run this where it display its respective values. So in the previous example we have printed the all keys. In this example we have printed all the values. We can also use a values method to return the value of a dictionary. That is, there I can use the same example. I'm going to change this as x, and instead of in this dictionary I'm going to change as this dot values. Okay, so now I'm going to click the run option. Yes, the same output is displayed. Okay, so we can also use to return the key, we can use the same thing where we can change over here as key, and we can click the run button. The error is due to that where we have to use keys. I have used as a key. So now after changing as keys, it displayed all my key items. So far we have discussed, we have printed the values of keys and alone of keys. So if we require both keys and values, we have to use the item method. So I'm using the same syntax where I require two variable, one is x and another one is y, because key and value no, so we have to use two initialization. So I'm going to change here as for x comma y. In this dictionary, I'm going to change my function as items, and it should print the values of x and y. So I need to give a space since in is act as a function. Yes, now it has been listed with a key with a value, key with value, key with value. Similarly, we can use copy a dictionary by using the method of a copy. Maybe for this basic differences, I'm going to delete this one. Yes. And I'm going to declare a variable for dictionary, which is nothing but this dictionary should copy, okay, and it should print my dictionary. Okay. So I have created a variable of my dictionary where whatever the items are present on this dictionary, it will be copied on the my dictionary and the output will be displayed. Yes, the output is executed. Similarly, we can under the dictionary, we can also try for the nested dictionary where it contains many dictionaries. Maybe I'm going to take an example of so my family. I'm going to create a my family where my child, since it is string child 1 is :2, name I'm using their name, and it should be separated by comma. So year 2009, I'm closing this. Next I'm creating one more child 2 where it is by colon and their name, and their comma year 2009. So similarly we can create for the other child if required. So maybe we can try child 3 with the name as and their year. So now I'm going to print my family. So we have created my family. So I have to change over here so it will form. So we have created many nested kind of a dictionary bases. Yes, the output is executed. Similarly, in the dictionary we have seen a lot of methods. So method as clear, copy, from key, get, item, keys, pop-up item, set default, updated values. Hope you have understood the examples on the dictionary basis. So on the upcoming session, we are going to discuss a new concept of OOPS basis. Hello friends, welcome to Ghante Coding Studio of Python Intermediate Programming. I hope you have understood the last session. I'm just going to continue in today with a new concept of Python with under the basis of object-oriented programming concept. In the Python basic, I have already given a clear vision about object-oriented programming. Of course, in today's session also, I am just going to describe about object-oriented programming concept as well as under the Python, I am going to explain some important topic of OOP. So they are classes, polymorphism, encapsulation and method. This particular four concept I am going to explain on the upcoming session. So before starting the session, I just want to give the quick review and quick intro about object-oriented programming. So before giving the introduction of OOPS basis, I just want to give a history about OOPS. So this is very interesting and fascinating too. The term object-oriented programming was given by Alan Kay around 1966 while he was at the graduate school. Yes, he derived this name on his graduation. The language called Simula was the first programming language with the feature of object-oriented programming. So keep in mind the first language was called it as Simula, S-I-M-U-L-A, and it was developed in 1967 where it makes the simulation programs. So this is what one of the important thing and the important fact also where the simulation was called it as object. Since the OOP was introduced in the 1960s, it was tried to develop on 1990 that began on OOPS basis with a language of C++. Since C language is purely based on structure basis, by adding the features of object, C++ has been introduced. After that, there is a technique has been adopted by the various programming languages, including in today's current world, Python and its application, all at most in the every field in the real-time basis are all depends upon the object-oriented programming. So even we can consider the artificial intelligence, an expert system, client-server system, and object-oriented database, and many more. All it purely depends upon the OOPS basis. So when you plan to begin for the programming basis, try to remember you have to be very clear on the OOPS basis. This OOPS concept it is common in Python, C++, Java, and so many languages too. So I need to conclude that the basic concept of object-oriented programming is important that you know before the Python to continue. So you can learn Python by using and listening this session. Hope you have understood the introduction of OOPS basis. So I just want to know what is object-oriented programming. So it is nothing but all creating an object where it has a meaning on its OOPS itself. So object-oriented programming, it is nothing but we need to create an object. So the object should be the integrated with variables or function. I think you may understood what is variable and what is function on the previous session or on the basic concept of Python. If you doesn't know in the sense, just go through with the previous session or you can go through with the Python basic where you can understand the concept of variable and functions. So variables maybe often refers to the object of the properties, or we may call it as it can be referred to the property of an object, and functions, which is nothing but refer to the behavior of an object. So we can get a clear picture for object, as well as under the object we have discussed the behavior and its property. So let me consider the example, a car. Okay, so I'm considering the example that the car could be my object. So if we consider the car as an object, then its properties could be its colors and its model, so and price and brand, etc. And if I'm considering the behavior, where behavior we call it in the OOPS basis as function, where it is nothing but acceleration, slowing down, gear change, all it comes under the category of behavior or functions. So I hope you have understood with this example. Similarly, I'm trying to give one more example, which is nothing but a dog. So I'm creating here my dog as an object, where their property is nothing but color, breed, whereas its behavior is, or function we call it as walking, barking and playing, etc. So I just want to recollect the same example, which is nothing but I'm just creating the dog as an object, where the property could be like his color, breed, name and his weight, and the function or behavior we can call it as, we may take as walking, barking, playing, etc. So I think you have understood the clear thing of object oriented programming, where we need to create an object, along it have a interrelevant with the variables or functions, where we call variable as property and function we call it as behavior. So yes, so in the real world, entities like object, hiding, inheritance, etc. in the program, it makes visualization exist because it almost close to the real world scenario. Yes. Next, I just want to give a description about or a basic difference of object-oriented programming in Python, and we can have a discussion about the structure basis. So I hope you have understood, like on the structure, we may have an example of a C programming. Remaining languages like C++, Java, Python, all it works on the OOPS basis. So I'm just taking an example for structure basis, where I am first taking the water according to the need. According to the need, I required to add some sugar to the water. Then I'm going to add the lemon juice to the mixture, and finally the whole solution. That is, I'm trying to prepare a lemon don. So under the lemon don, I have taken water, sugar and the lemon juice to make the final solution. So now my lemon juice is ready to serve. But in similar way of that is POP, it is nothing but Python and object oriented programming, where it required a certain procedure of steps. So the procedures should be consist of function, and this means that programming of that is Python in the object-oriented programming, it approaches a program that is divided into the function, where it requires a specific two different tasks. So these functions are arranged in the specific sequence under control of the program sequentially. So instead of making each thing on a separate basis, when I am going for the object basis, I am going to make that huge step into a smaller step. So that is the basic difference of structure basis and object oriented programming. So whenever the object oriented programming consists of an object, the object should be divides the program into the object basis. So we should not take the huge object, we have to consider each object, and each object should perform each functions. So, and this object should be like a bundle with the properties, and of course they have to require the behavior of the each object. So normally the structure basis can can make small task only. So when it consider for the huge basis structure, it won't work. So for this only, the overcome of object oriented programming concept has been introduced. If the length of the program were increases and the complexity also increases in the structure basis. So if to end up this web of functions, it has become too hard to debug the errors. So for this only, the OOPS concept has been given a solution, and it has been the remedy for the for this process. So where it gives a clear and less complex structures, and it also allows reusability and reavailability for the real-time basis, even on the future too. So another important fact of structure basis is where the programming have all the functions. No, it is difficult to access all its data, which implies a lack of security. So it means that we cannot able to handle the security. The data can be leak or return anytime. Yes, on the structure basis, we can tell it fails to provide you the data to be securities. Whereas in the case of object-oriented, it helps with one of its amazing functionality, which we call it as encapsulation, where it hides the data. We need not to worry in detail, and later part of this particular thing we can discuss in the uh, intermediate level. So we can call it as object where it enables a security, whereas in the case of structure-based programming, it does not support. And we can consider some programming language of C, Pascal, Basic, or all it falls under the structure. Whereas in the case of current technologies or current programming like Java, Python, JavaScript, PHP, C++, that mainly provide the concept of object-oriented. So under this sessions, as I already mentioned, we are going to cover with the concepts of classes, encapsulation, method, inheritance, and polymorphism. Apart from this, we have one more major concept of Python is data abstraction too. So let me check on the each basis, and we can explain with a clear example by using the text editor platform. I hope you have understood the concept on the intro of object-oriented programming. So I'm going to discuss the concept of under OOPS basis with the classes, where it is nothing but defines a object and it defines a set of an attribute. Let me explain how it works on text editor. Before entering onto the text editor, I just want to give a quick intro about the classes. Class, it is nothing but binding the data and functionality together. And I'm just making a point so that you can recollect it. So my first point is it's bundling the data. So bundling it is nothing but combining, and function of together. So, and my second point could be that when we are creating a new class, it required a new type of object. That is also one more important point. New class, new object should be created. Okay. And my third point is each class, that is, instance can have attribute attached to their maintaining its states. So each class will have each attribute. So I'm making this is also important. Each class will have each attribute. So we may also have class instance that can also have methods. So class instance, in the sense, at the runtime also we can use an option of a method. So compared to other languages, Python class mechanism it is very easy and very flexible and very easy to readable too. And it have a minimum number of syntax and procedures. So that is one key point where we can use this, where we are using this Python languages in today's world. So in the mixture of the class mechanism of other programming like C++ and other languages, where OOPS concept, that is object oriented programming concept, it is very flexible in Python language actually. So the some features where Python it is where OOPS concept is flexible in Python is the class inheritance mechanism. So you might know the inheritance concept in basic languages. If you doesn't know, in the sense, you not to worry, I will be explaining on the intermediate part. So the class inheritance mechanism, it will have a multiple base classes and derived classes. We can use override any method of its base class or its classes too. And the call method of the base class will have the same name. That is also one important feature of OOP spaces in Python. And one more thing is on the object in the Python, where we can create on arbitrary. Arbitrary in the sense, it is nothing but imaginary. We can create the values on the imaginary basis too. And of course, one more important thing, we can make the dynamic part, or on the runtime we can create the classes or as per our wishes. So this is about the quick intro about the classes. So let's see some features about classes, and we can start the programming in text editor. So on the continuation of the Python classes, I just want to give some clarity about the scopes and namespace. So when we want to become a Python programmer, it is better to understand the scopes and namespace. So I'm just want to give some definition with an example. So a namespace, it is nothing but where from it gives names to object. So most of the names are implemented or currently used as a Python dictionaries. And we may not relatable in any way, so except in their performance, and it may be changed in the future. So maybe I'm just considering the example of a namespace where I'm using the function as abs, so which is nothing but absolutely value. Abs, it functions, it removes the negative values of an integer. So where it is a simple example, and it is an inbuilt function also. So the global name in the module and the local names are in the function of evacuations. So in the sense, the set of this attribute of an object also form a namespace. Yes, the important thing to know about the namespace is that giving an absolute no relationship between their names in their different namespaces. So for instance, two different modules may both have a function maximize without confusions. User of the module must prefix with module name. So by the way, we may have an attribute for any name for the following dot. For example, the expression of z.real.real is an attribute of an object of z. So on the continuation, attribute may be read only or writable. So in later cases, assignment to attribute is possible. Module attribute is writable. We can write the module name. Writable attribute may also can be deleted by using the function key of delete statement. So maybe I can note on my note. So for to delete the attribute, I will be using the function of delete, and with the mod name. Okay, where it removes the attribute from the object named by the mode name. Okay, so it will delete the functions and it respective things on the whatever the things are stored in the mode name, it will be deleted by since we have used the function of delete. So this is an example where I'm going to differentiate between the different scopes on namespace and how the global and non-local affects a variable on binding. So I'm just clicking the run button. We have seen the output over here. Let me explain. The local assignment, that is the local assignment which is default, and it does not change the scope test of binding of spam, and the global assignment which changes the model level binding. We can also see that there was no previous binding of the spam for the spam of local assignment. So in this we can conclude where the scope and the namespace with a simple example, the output here over is executed as the first thing is local assignment, that is a test spam, and the non-local assignment where the output is displayed as a non-local spam, and the global basis and the global scope has been the output displayed as a non-local spam and global spam. So next I'm going to explain the first look of classes, where classes introduce a little bit of new syntax with the 3 new object types and some of new semantics. So the class definition simple syntaxes which look like class space class name and the statement and goes on with the statement end. So in this So where this class definition, like it act like a function definition, which is nothing but definition statement. So it must be executed before they have any affected. So keep in mind, so whenever we are using the classes, it should be on the top basis. After that only we have to enter any functions. So it could be done by practice only. Okay. So the statement inside the definition function will usually be the function definition. So whatever the things which are used in this statement 1 to statement n, which is nothing but the function definition or the execution part will be take place over here. So normally the function definition will have a peculiar form of argument list. Argument, it is nothing but the value passed. Okay. So where it can be called by the method of conversion. Maybe it can be explained by the simple example when we are using on the text editor platform. So under the class definition is entered, a new class name should be or new namespace should be created, and this it could be used as a local scope. So we can conclude that all assignment to a local variable go into a new space in the class definition. So in the same case, function definition, that is function this part, statement 1 to statement n, where it have a name of the new function over here. Okay, so the class definition normally start from the left basis. So we type the class on the left hand side. That is what I'm mentioning here. And the class after creating the class, we have to create the class object is normally created. So this is a basic thing where it should wrap around the content of the namespace. Maybe it could be created by the class definition, and of course the original local scope should be and the class object should be bound over here on the classes. So next I'm going to explain the concept of class object. Under the class object we have two kinds of operation. One is attribute reference and the second one is instantiations. So attribute reference. So here the attribute reference, it is nothing but it have a syntax. I hope you understand this. I have defined a class, and after following that I have mentioned the class object which has my class. Next I have created the function of I equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is nothing but integer. Next, I have been written the string as hello world. Okay, so here the attribute reference is nothing but it has a valid of object name, and all the names were spaced in the namespace when the class object is created. So we can consider my class or my class dot f are valid attribute reference. So it written one is integer and the other function it written a object of string basis. So we can change the value of my class by assigning as underscore. We can also change it as double underscore doc double underscore. This is also valid attribute. So just keep in mind, we can use, instead of my classes, we can also use double underscore document. We can use doc maybe or with some other element or some other name itself. So next I'm going to explain the class instantiation, where it is nothing but function notation. So it is pretended the class object is on parameter less that function return the new instant of the classes. Maybe we can consider an example of x equal to my class, where it creates a new object, a new instant of a class, and it assigns a value of object to the local variable of x. So the instant operation, it is nothing but calling a class object. So it calls an object and it creates an empty object too. For this, we have to create a class, maybe define a specific method which is nothing but double underscore init. Like this we can use it. So here we have an example of def underscore double underscore of init, where we have used a parameter less, and we have mentioned a self dot date, where this is nothing but initialize a instant that can be class to be obtained. For this, I'm going to use x equal to my classes. So the overall conclusion of class object is we can see with some examples so that we get a clear picture. This is a simple example for a class object, where we have created the object and we have declared the values of complex part, and we have initialized and passed the argument. So next I'm going to explain the simple concept of instant object. So instant object, it is nothing but it is nothing but attribute reference. So there are two kinds of valid attribute names in the instant object. One is data attribute, and the second one is method. So data attribute, it is nothing but it corresponds to the instance variable. So whatever the variables are which are giving on the instance, which comes under the data attribute. Okay, so where it is similar to the data members in the C++, and data attributes need not to be declared like a local variable. So this can be exist when they are first assigned. For example, if x is an instant of my class created, we can use the value to be print 16 without leaving a trace. So maybe for this I can use one more syntax. I'm going to use one more example on my text editor. So in this example, where I have entered the coding x dot counter equal to 1, and I have given a function that is looping as while x dot counter is less than 10, it should process a function as that should be multiply with 2, and it should be print the counter, and it should be delete the counter. So here we may, on the output basis, we may expect the error. This is due to the delete. As we already know, delete, it is nothing but it delete all the syntax or all the functions which is declared on the coding part. So So a method, it is a function that belongs to an object. So we may take this as an example. Valid method names of instant option, it is purely depend upon the classes. Okay, and even by the definition we know that all the attribute of a classes that are the function object defined corresponds method of instant in our object. So maybe we can consider the example of x dot f. Here x dot f is nothing but x dot counter is a valid method reference, since my class dot f is a function but x dot I is not, since my class dot I is not. So we have to keep in mind that x dot f is not the same as my class dot f, because it is a method object, not a function object. So next I'm going to speak with an instant variable where we have a data unique to each instance and class variable, and we are going to create an attribute and method by the instant of class. I'm going to create a class with the name of class dog, and their kind, it is nothing but I'm just mentioning as canyon. So where I'm going, I have declared the variable by all instance here. So next I'm going to create the instant variable unique to each instance. For this I'm using the function double underscore init, where with a parameter less of self under self command name So next I'm going to create a variable, that is instant variable self dot name equivalent to name. Yes, I have created. Next I'm going to declare d equal to dog, where with FIDOL, the dog name. Okay. Next I am creating e equal to dog I am closing this bracket. So again I am creating buddy and next I am going to create their kind and e dot kind so next I am going to create their name which I have already created as Fidol and their name which is buddy. So as discussed here in a word about names and objects shared, the data can have possibly surprising effective with involving a mutable object. For example, the trick list in the following I will be adding a code where I can be using the class variable because it is just a single list could be shared by all dog instance. So instead of d dot kind and d dot all these things, I'm going to make it as I'm going to add a mistake use of class variable of tricks. Maybe this will give an error, so I'm trying for one more option which is nothing but where I have created in this class dog and I created a function and create an empty list for the each dog. Once an empty list is created, I'm just passing the values on each basis. To add this, I'm used the function of add underscore trick. So this particular thing is added. So far we have discussed the classes where I just want to recollect. It is nothing but defined prototype for an object where it set a set of an attribute and categorize any class of an object. So the attributes are nothing but its data members, and we are represented with a dot notation. And the class variable is shared by all the instance of the classes. So whenever the class variables are defined within the class but not in the outside of the classes. So keep in mind, so the class should be declared inside but not on the outside of the class method. So next I'm going to create the simple syntax for the class. So this is a simple example. Class, my class, and I'm declaring the variable x equal to 5. Now I'm printing the value of print my class. So let me check the output. So it shows the class main and main class. Next I'm going to create an object where I'm going to create an object with the name of P1 and I'm going to print the value of x. For this again I'm going to create a class, my class, and I'm declaring the value x equal to 5. Next I'm declaring the variable as, that is object as P1 equal to my class, and I'm printing the value of print P1 dot x. So the output is executed over here as 5. Yes. Next I'm going to use a same example where I'm going to use a classes and object in their simple form. To understand, we have already learned the built-in function of _init function. So I'm just going to use this particular function in my example where this always, that is this initial function which is always executed when the class is being initiated. So this function, that is, let me create an example. So I'm going to create class with a person as an object, and I'm going to create the function and declaring the parameter list, comma name, comma age, where I'm declaring the object in the self name equal to name and self dot age equal to age. So again I'm declaring one more variable, object, where P1 equal to person and getting the value of Arun, and that means the name, and the age is 26. So now I'm going to print the P1 dot name and going to print P1 dot age. So this init function, it assigns the values to the object properties or other operation that are necessary to be to do when the object is created. So here the object is created over here and it processes the functions or the object of self.name or self.age over here. So I'm expecting the output should be displayed as, first now it should be print my name, that is Arun, and its age as 26. Next in the class spaces, I'm going to use with a simple example of a self parameters where it is nothing but it initializes the parameter on the instant basis. So here I have declared the class with an object of a person, and I have declared the function as my silly object name comma age. So instead of self, we can use any object. Here I have used as a my silly object. So I have getting the values for name and age, and I'm making the one more function as ABC. Now I'm going to add the name, going to print a statement as hello, my name is plus ABC dot name, where I have used in the object and declared the variable as John, and I'm going to call this function. So whenever this function is called, hello, my name is John, it should be printed. So that is what it has been executed in this output. Similarly, we can use delete the object or delete the properties. For this, I'm going to use delete t1 dot age. So let's see. So it deleted the age of John. So next I'm going to delete the object, that is delete t1. So I am used the statement of print p1. So now the output is executed as error, since it delete all the functions or all the syntax whichever written or typed on this editor. I hope you have understood a lot of things on the class basis. So it is very simple concept, but it is very important in the Python language as well as on our other language. Similarly, we are going to discuss the other concept on OOPS basis. Try to continue with the session. Thank you. Let me see an example for the method by using the object. As we already discussed, object can also contain method. And method in the objects are the function that belongs to the object. So let us create the same example, a person class, and we are going to insert a function that printing a greeting and execute it on the P1 object. So for this I'm going to create a class and the object as person. Next I'm going to declare the function. I'm going to declare the parameter as self, name, age. Next I'm declaring the variable of self.name equal to name. Similarly, self.age equal to age. Okay. So next I'm going to declare the function as definition. That function need to call of this self. Okay. And enclosed with a parameter double quote. I'm printing the statement as print hello, my name is self.name. So it should combine with my name. Okay. For this I am using this operator as plus. Next, on the same variable P1, I'm creating the object as the person Arun, comma, okay, and I need to call the function. Yes, the output is executed where it prints the value, and it is the output is displayed as hello, my name is Arun. Okay, so we have to note that self parameter is reference to the current instant of the class, and it is used to access a variable that belongs to the class. Okay, next I'm going to explain with a simple example of a self parameters, where self parameter it is nothing but reference to the current instant of the class, and it is used to access a variable that belongs to the class. Okay, so if it does not have the name to be a self, you can call it whatever you like, but it has to be the first parameter of the any function in the class. So keep in mind, so it is not necessary to keep the parameter as a self. Instead of a self, you can use any parameter, but it should be the first parameter to be called. Okay, so again I'm going to create a function as the same class. Under this I'm going to declare the parameter as my silly object name or age. I'm just using the other parameter. So same example class, instead of using the self I'm using the one other name. So I'm initializing the function where I'm creating as myself, comma, name, comma, age, and closing with double quote, myself dot name equal to name, myself dot age equal to age. Okay, next I'm going to declare the function. So definition of function where I'm creating as parameter as a, b, c, and I'm printing the statement as hello, my name is abc dot name. Okay, so now I'm getting the variable p1 equal to person, the object is person, though it is a string, and I'm calling the function. So in the output you may notice, in the programming basis you may notice, instead of a self I have been used some other name, and instead of here also I have used the ABC. So I have used the words of myself and the ABC instead of self. This is also applicable in method object. So next I'm going to modify my object, that is we can modify our properties on object like with the following basis. I'm going to set my age of P1 to 40. For this initially I want to create a class with an object as person, and I'm going to define a function where I'm declaring the parameter as self, name, comma, age. Okay, so I'm declaring the variable self dot age equal to age. So now I'm again processing the function as self and I'm printing the statement my name is plus self dot name. and I'm declaring one more variable, that is p1, with an object of and now I'm declaring the variable p1 age equal to 30. I'm printing this age. So here it will print my output as the age of person of Arun as will be changed as 26 to 30. So the output will be displayed in the text editor. In method object, we can also use the other inbuilt function as appendant add. So already we have discussed this thing in a previous session. Appendant, it is nothing but where it is used to join. Add, it is adding of a thing. Okay. So this is a simple example where I have created the class with an object of a bag, and I have declared the function of self, where I will be initially putting as an empty set, and after creating the empty set I have declared one more function where I need to add of object of self with the x that should be added, and it should be saved on the self.data.appendant. For to add I am using the built-in function of appendant. Next I am going to add it twice. For this I am using the statement, the function as add. I hope you have understood the concept of method object. So let me see the other topic in OOP spaces. So far we have discussed the types of inheritance in Python. One is simple inheritance, and second is multi-inheritance, and third is multi-level inheritance. We have other type of inheritance such as hybrid inheritance and hierarchy inheritance. Let me see some examples relevant to the hybrid and hierarchical inheritance. Hierarchical inheritance, it is nothing but where it inherits from the multiple level from the same base class or parent class. So in this example, you may notice I have declared the class with an object of a parent, and next I'm calling the function of a self, where I'm printing this is a function 1, and under the second basis I'm creating the object where it calls a parent class of this parent one, and again I'm creating this child 2, one more object or one more base class where it calls my main class or parent class of parent. Okay, so I'm declaring the variable of child and child 2, and I'm calling this function. So this is a simple example of hierarchical where it inherits from the same base class of parent or from the same parent class. Okay. So the output here executed as this is a function 1 and this is a function 2. Let's see the example of hybrid inheritance. So hybrid inheritance, it is nothing but where it multiple level inherit from the same program, or it will be taking place in the same level. So I'm considering the same example where I'm just added with some statement like a class of child 3 where it add my base class, that is parent class, as well as my subclasses where all the things are executed in the same program itself. So now I'm trying for the output. Yes, the output is executed. So far we have discussed the types of inheritance and with their example. Next we are going to see some special features in Python, which is nothing but super class. So super function, it is nothing but where it call the method from the parent class. So I'm considering the same example where we have created. So let me recollect the super class where it calls it's in the same program itself. So under this we have declared the first as a first subclass as parent, and next my derived classes as child from the parent, where it calls a function of super dot function. It calls a function 1, So let's see the other topic in OOPS basis. Next, I'm going to explain with a simple example of inheritance. So inheritance, it is nothing but it is not relevant to the classes without supporting the inheritance. We may derive the classes from the base class. Let me see in an example. So I'm starting with a class, and this is the basic syntax. Derived class name. I'm making the class name, and I'm on the parenthesis I'm using as base class name, and this could be the statement 1 following. I can use n number of statement. So this is a basic syntax for the inheritance actually. So the name, that is the name of base class, here we are used to know the name of the base class must be defined in the scope. It should be enclosed with the open brace and the closed brace, and the derived class in the derived class definition. Okay, so similarly, in the place of base class, other arbitrary expressions are allowed. We can use any expression actually. Okay, so this is a simple example to be defined in another module, where it is nothing but class, derived class, mode name dot base class. Instead of I'm using the derived class under the base class, I can use mode dot name. Okay, so this is also applicable. I'm separating with a dot. Okay, so Python has also have a two inbuilt function. One is use is instance. It is used to check the instance type, that is it used to check the object or integer whether it will be true only if the object class is integer or some other classes derived from the int. Okay, my second inbuilt function is subclasses. It used to check the class inheritance whether it is boolean or integer, and it also gives a true if the boolean is subclasses of integer. However, this subclass can also have a float or integer if it is false. Okay, so next we can see the example or syntax for the multiple inheritance. So this is a basic syntax for the multiple inheritance, where it have a derived class name. Under the derived class names, it will have a multiple base class. So we have created the base 1, base 2, base 3. After this we are used the statement. So this is also a simple syntax for the multiple inheritance. So far we have discussed inheritance, where it inherit to define the class that inherit all the method and the property from another classes. So we have seen one is parent class and the second is child class. So parent class, I'm just making a note. So parent class, it is nothing but it's a class where inherited from the base class. So it will inherit from okay, so which also called as base class, whereas my second is child class. So this is nothing but it inherit from another class, which is called it as derived. Okay, this could be the derived class, and the first one could be the base class. So now we are going to see a simple example how we can create the class. Hope you have understood the syntax. So just we can go ahead with the text editor, and we can learn the inheritance by using the ZNYR platform. So I'm just going to create the class person. So I'm going to create class person. Next I'm going to create the function. Under this I'm declaring the parameter self, comma name. Maybe I'm making as f name, comma l name. It is for the basic difference. Okay. Next I'm declaring the variable self dot first name, self dot first name equal to fnme. Okay. Next I'm creating self dot last name, which is nothing but last name. So next time we want to print, declare one more functions of print name, which is nothing but this one, the self, and I'm printing this statement. Self dot first name, comma self dot last name. So it will be getting the value of first name and the last name. Okay. So next I'm going to get the value for this. So I'm using x equal to person, so I'm declaring the name, next I want to print this statement. So now my output will be executed as Arjun Balu will be declared. I'm just considering an example of where I'm taking the object as an animal. Under the object I'm declaring the function as def. Under the speak self I need to print the animal speaking. Okay, so I have created the child class dog inherited from the class base class of animal, where this animal is a base class, where I am inherited the child class as dog. Under this I am using the animal where it is barking. So I need to print this statement that dog is barking. For this I am getting the variable d equal to dog and d dot bark, and d, these are all nothing but function where it calls over here. So now I am clicking the run button and the output is displayed as one is dog barking, and of course my second statement is it's animal speaking 1. So this is a simple example of inheritance. So next I am going to explain an example for the multiple inheritance, where it is nothing but the child class of dog child inherit from the another child class of dog. So I am just going to inherit from the dog, where I am using the class as class dog child, and the object is nothing but dog, where I am declaring the function as eat, and I am declaring the statement as eating breed. They are eating breed, and again I need to declare the function as d dot eat open parenthesis, I mean empty list, and for this I'm just clicking the run button. Yes, it's showing as the dog barking, animal is speaking, and it is a eating breed. So this is a simple example where we have learned the inheritance from the single basis as well as on the multiple levels of inheritance. In Python, we can also have a multiple level of inheritance. I have considered an example where I am going to calculate the summation, multiplication and division. For this I have created an object as a class calculation. I'm just need to do the summation. For this I'm declaring a parameter as a self. To add a summation I require two value, where I'm declaring as a comma b, and I require the output. For this I'm using the statement as return. So next I'm going to use my second calculation as calculation 2, where I require the same variable and it should be multiply, and I'm going to derive this thing. So now I'm going to divide this calculation 1 and calculation 2. For this I'm using the statement as derived, which should be I'm using the object as calculation 2, or I'm using the base as calculation 1 and calculation 2, where it should divide is a and b, and it should return the statement of a divided b. So I'm declaring the value over here, and I'm using the statement to be print. I'm passing the parameter, I'm passing the argument on the summation. So let's see. So on the first cases, it adds a 2 value 10 plus 20, the output is displayed as 30. And the second cases, 10 into 2 20 displays the output as 200. On the third cases, 10 divided by 20, the output is displayed as 0.5. Okay. Yes. So this is also in a simple example for multi-level inheritance. Next we are going to see a simple example for is subclass. It is nothing but where it gives a relationship between the classes, specified classes. It returns the value is true if the subclasses, if the first classes has been in the subclasses. Otherwise it will return false. I'm considering the same example where we have declared the first object as a calculation, and we are doing the summation part, and the second part is multiplication. I'm returning as a into b. On the third cases, where I'm dividing my a and b, it returning the value. So now I'm declaring the variable as d equal to derived, where my subclass, it should be derived from the calculation part 2, and my second should be subclasses, it should be derived from the base from the calculation and 1 and calculation 2. So yes, the first statement is derived. This particular derived, it is come from the calculation part 2. So it is come from the subclasses of calculation 2. That is what it has been executed from the statement as true. Whereas in the second statement, in the second print statement, calculation 1 and calculation 2, it is not derived from the subclasses. That is what the output has been executed here as false. So I'm just going to explain the second thing is instance. Is instance, it is nothing but we can recollect it. It checks the object and integer. Okay, it will return true, and or it should be derived from the integer. Okay, so I'm just taking the same example. So in this, the first thing is it is adding, and the second thing is it is multiplying, and the third case is it's dividing. So is instance d equivalent to d comma derived. So where this d, it should be derived from the from this particular statement. Let me check the output. Yes, it is derived from the integer basis. That is what the output has been displayed as a true. So on the continuation of OOPS basis, I'm going to explain the concept of polymorphism. So polymorphism, it is nothing but where it have a many forms. So in the real time, we may take an example of a hope the 90s kids aware of this particular ad of Nijam Park, where it have like a single person with a different image. This is a real-time example of a polymorphism. So polymorphism, it is nothing but poly means it's many, morphism in the sense it will change its image. So that is what the simple example or simple meaning for the polymorphism. Let's see how it is used in the Python. So the meaning and the definition of a polymorphism, it is nothing but the literal meaning of polymorphism is a condition of occurrence in a different forms. Okay, and of course it is very important concept in OOP spaces as well as in Python. So it refers a single type of entity of method, operator or object to represent the different types in a different scenarios. So I'm just going to explain with a simple example of addition operators, and by using the len. Len, it is nothing but the length, where we can able to find out the length of the function. So I am going to declare an integer where my number 1 equal to 1, number 2 equal to 2. I am printing the two numbers. Now I am checking for the run option. So it adds two numbers. To add two numbers, we have used the operator of plus. This is a simple example for polymorphism. Similarly, I am making for the string, I am entering as hi, welcome to ZNYR. So even on the string basis, to add the two thing, we are used the plus operator, the output is executed. This is also the similar example for polymorphism. So my second example is using the length function, where length it is nothing but it is inbuilt in the Python. So now I have declared my first statement as the length of this particular program, and the second is Python, where I have been created with the list, and third I have created with the set along with the tuple also. I'm just checking for my output. So the output for the first thing is 9. Since on the second statement it is declared on the list basis, it have been mentioned on the 1, 2, 3. It has taken each element as each one. And whereas in the case of the third is tuple, where it have been mentioned with the two elements, name with the John, address with the Nepal, so that it has been, the output has been displayed as a number 2. So next I am going to explain how the polymorphism it will be help on the class basis. So I am just created the animal, I mean the two thing. One is my first class is cat, where I am declaring the function as its name and its age. Next I just want to give the information about this self, where I am creating, I am a cat, my name is, so I just want to put some name and its age. So next I am creating one more method is its sound. So normally cat gives a sound of meow. So similarly I am creating one more object which is nothing but dog. Again I am getting their name and age. Here also I am just want the information about the dog, and I am making their sound as a bark. So now I am making on the next syntax, I am just making the variable their name and their age. So again I am using one more function that is nothing but for loop, one more condition checking for animal in cat1 and cat2, I mean dog 1, where it have to make a sound and it have to give a information. So you may notice we didn't put any super classes. Instead of super classes, we have done this particular thing to execute this program. So we have created two class and we have created two method. One method is information and second method is sound. So without using a super class, we have executed their output. So where the output has been mentioned on your right side of your editor. So this is possible due to the concept of the polymorphism. We have also have one more interesting topic on Python is overriding, method overriding. This method overriding, it is applicable in inheritance as well as in polymorphism. So I'm going to explain this method overriding in polymorphism concepts. So before that, we just want to know what is method overriding. So method overriding, it is nothing but where it redefines its attribute to their child classes. So we can redefine or we can recreate or we can change their attribute to their child classes. So this, it could be happen in polymorphism as well as it is possible in inheritance concept. So let me start with an example from math import, where from it is nothing but the function where I'm importing the properties of pi. It is purely applicable in Python programming, where we can use this import option. So next I'm going to create the object as a shape. Under the shape I required the area and their fact, which is now, and it should have a two-dimensional space. And next I'm creating the string where it should have a name. Okay. So, and initially I'm declaring the common thing in the object basis. Next I'm specifying, I'm calling the my parent class where it is nothing but square and it is shape. Next I'm initializing the object, their length. Since square it have a, we have the area as a square, the formula could be the a square where we require the length. So for this I'm using the I need the variable or creating the variable of a length. Next I'm getting the value for the length, and I'm making their area should be like length into length, that is the formula is a square, instead of a I'm using as length. So next I'm making their return statement should have my I'm printing as squares have each angle should be equal to 90 degree. Hope we know under the squares will have the properties of their angle will be the 90 degree when we taken on each sides. So similarly, I'm considering for the circle where I'm getting the radius and I'm putting the formula. Since for the pi, I require the value no. For this only, I have been used the operation of function as from math import pi. So it will automatically get the value from the Python by since we have used the function of import. So next I'm getting the variable for the square and circle where I have used the parameter and where I have used the argument, and I need to print all this statement. So now I have been executing the output where it have been mentioned the circle, it is a two-dimensional space, and the square have each angle is 90 degree, and now the value is also been printed out executed in my output. So next I am going to try my polymorphism with the class method. So I'm going to try with a tuple basis, and I'm going to try with an iterate. For this I'm going to create my class with an object name as India. India. So next I am declaring the function as India has capital. So I'm using the parameter as self. Since it's a statement, I'm enclosing with a double colon. I'm printing this statement. New Delhi is the capital of India. So next I'm declaring one more function, that is their language. India has a language. So same here also I'm declaring self, and I'm double colon. I'm printing the statement Hindi is most. Okay. Next I'm declaring one more function type, which is definition type and self, where I'm printing as India is a developing country. So I'm going to create one more class of USA. So the same thing is I'm following the capital, language and their type. So I'm just copying this thing. Okay, so the capital could be like for USA it's Washington, and their language will be English. Next, and their type is it's a developed country. USA is a developed country. Okay. Yes, almost my first things is over. Next, I'm going to create my polymorphism with an object. For this, I'm using as object underscore India is nothing but India, and my second thing is object underscore USA, which is nothing but USA. The object is also declared over here. Next, I'm going to use a for loop for country where it's going to check in object underscore India, comma object underscore USA. So yes, next I'm using the variable to be as country capital, country dot language and their type. So the for loop is used where it will cross check where the condition will be check on the object underscore India and an object underscore USA, and it will be displaying the output. So my coding part is over. So I am expecting the output as my New Delhi is the capital of India and Hindu is the most and India is a developing country. Similarly, the Washington and English and USA is a developing country. The output will be executed like this. So we have seen a simple example where we created the polymorphism with the class method. Similarly, I am going to try my polymorphism with the inheritance. Already we have discussed with the concept of method overriding. So I am trying to move with one more example for method overriding. For this, I am going to create an object as in bird, where I am going to print their statement as it has a many types of bird. So under the bird, I am going to create one more function as a flight. So by using the parent class of bird, I'm going to create my subclass as a sparrow. So again, I'm going to create their whether they can flight, flight. So I'm going to create one more bird which is ostrich, and I'm going to get the value. I'm going to declare the object as object underscore bird, object underscore sparrow, object underscore ostrich. After declaring all this object, I'm going to make my method overriding with us object underscore bird dot intro flight, and so where it gives in my output as birds have many types and most of the birds can fly but some cannot. So there are many types of birds. Sparrow can fly, ostrich cannot fly. So this is what the output I'm actually expecting. So let's try. So I'm going to create my class with the object name as bird. So next I'm going to introduce my function. So declaring this empty parameters, I'm printing as there are many types of birds. So under this, I'm using one more function of flight where it calls a parameter of this self. I'm printing as most of the birds can fly but some cannot. So I'm going to create one more class of class sparrow where it calls a bird, the parent class of bird. So again I'm going to declare one more function that is maybe the intro. So I'm copying the same thing. So here I'm making a sparrow. Okay, so here my intro could be like so this is not required, so I'm deleting this one. Okay, so sparrow can fly. So I'm making as sparrow can fly. Similarly, I'm copying this one. Now I'm making here as ostrich. Ostrich cannot fly. Okay, so now I'm declaring the way object. That is, my first thing is object underscore bird. It will be taking the bird. So next I'm declaring object underscore sparrow. It will be taking the value of sparrow. So again I'm going to try for object underscore ostrich. So next I'm going to make the same thing, which is nothing but object underscore bird, where it should print my intro, and object underscore bird, it should give the flight result. So similarly for the sparrow, their flight, intro and flight. So I'm just copying the same thing. So object, where I have to make it as sparrow. This is also sparrow. And this could be ostrich, and this could be the ostrich. Okay, so I'm expecting the output like it have many birds. The sparrow can fly, the ostrich cannot fly. Okay, so of course the output is executed well like this. So on the continuation of OOP spaces, the final concept is encapsulation. So encapsulation, it is nothing but wrapping of a data. We can take a simple example of a tablet, where in a tablet we will have some chemical inside on it. So similarly, encapsulation, it is nothing but where it closes with data. So some important points of encapsulation in Python is, of course, it is one of the fundamental concept in OOP spaces, where we have seen so many concepts. Under this, the basic definition of encapsulation is packing of a data and function that works within the data within the single object. So we will be declaring one object where it will have a different data and functions. So we can hide the internal state of the object from the outside, which we call it as information hiding. So the simple example of a class is an example of course, an encapsulation, where class bundles of data and method in a single unit, and the class provides access to attribute versus method. Yes. So the idea of information hiding, that is, information hiding is nothing but where the internal state of the object can done from the outside. So it does not have any attribute. I mean, it have an attribute, but it is not visible to the outside. So let me see within an example how it works on the text editor platform. So this is an example of encapsulation where I have created the object as a counter. So you may notice under this counter I have declared the three methods. One is increment, and second is value, and third is reset. So under this counter I have declared the function initially to be the 0. If it is increment, if I want to increase, in the sense I am used the operator as plus equivalent to 1, it should be increased by the value of 1. So increment, it is nothing but it increase the value to be 1. Whereas in the case of value, it is nothing but it will not change, it will set into the current value. Reset, it is in the sense where it reset to the value to be 0. And next I have been used the outer class of counter, where I made the value to be the increment and I printed the value of I make the value to be printed. So now I'm just clicking the run button where the output has been shown as 3. Yes, the output is executed. So let's see in an example where I'm demonstrate with the protector members and creating the base class. So class. So I'm creating the base as an object and I'm declaring the function as initialization is done and making the parameter as a self. Now I'm creating one more thing, underscore a, which is equivalent to 2, and I'm going to create a deriving class where class derived from base and I'm making the definition under the initialization the same thing as I'm doing. So now I am going to call the constructor and the base class. For this I am going to use base dot initialization of self So I'm going to print the statement of a base class. Okay. So next I'm going to print this particular thing. And I'm going to declare the object and my object 2 is base. So I'm going to call the protector member. Outside class will be result in the attribute error. So we need to print this statement. I'm using the print of object 2.a. So the output here over will be executed as calling protector member of a class where it will be initialized the value of 2. So we have seen some example of encapsulation. I just want to conclude by the summary of encapsulation. It is nothing but packing of a data and method into the class where we can hide the information and restrict the classes from the outside. Of course, on the prefix of the attribute with a double underscore, it make to be a private. And of course, in Python basis, we can define the private attribute by convention, not by the rules. Hope you have understood the concept of encapsulation with a simple example. So far we have discussed a lot of things in OOPS basis. I hope you have understood a lot of concept on Python on intermediate basis. You may execute it to type a program on the text editor platform by using the ZNYR. So far, we have discussed many concepts on intermediate level, like in the data type as tuple, set, dictionary, and we have also discussed the concept on class, polymorphism, inheritance, encapsulation, and method. So, where I just want to recollect with all this concept, tuple it is nothing but where it stores a multiple item in the single variable. And under this set, we have seen like a lot of inbuilt functions where set is nothing but it stores a collection of a data. We have seen the inbuilt functions such as sorted, length, and many things. So under the dictionary basis, where it is nothing but stores the data values in a key with their respective value pairs. So in this dictionary also we have seen their method and functions and inbuilt functions of dictionary basis. So the major important concept of OOPS is where it is easy to make the main function, or it makes a complex function into a simpler way. So for this only the object has been introduced. So under the object we have seen the first type as classes, where it defines a set of an attribute. Polymorphism, it is nothing but it have a different many forms. And inheritance, where it inherit from the base class or from the parent class. Encapsulation, yes, it is nothing but where it wrapping the data. So one more important point is method, where it function that belongs to the object. I hope you have understood the lot of concepts on intermediate level, and you can able to feel like now you can able to try or type the program by using understanding this concept. So just wait for the next session where you can able to develop your own project by using the Python on the advanced level. So until, thank you so much.